right, guys, so this is episode 3. We're recording this on Tuesday evening. The only reason I tell you that is because a lot can happen in the world of boxing between Tuesday and when this video goes out on Friday. So if things are a bit dated, we do apologize. Me and Gman are both traveling tomorrow, but we wanted to get an episode in the books for you guys to keep it consistent. Here we go.
Here we go, man. I'm looking forward to this because we have a lot to discuss. We have a lot to talk about.
There's always so much. Like every time we do these, in my head I'm thinking, is there going to be anything to talk about next week?
Well, you think of it, we normally give a week between these and we've loads to talk about.
Yeah.
We're only giving it, 4 days? And we still have absolutely loads to talk about.
That's true. I feel like this conversation will be dictated a lot by the Canelo news, but I do want to get to other news before we get to that. Let's start with the fights on the weekend. DERECK Chisora versus OTTO Wallin. Honest thoughts on both?
Honestly, I couldn't believe how bad Wallin was.
Yeah.
It was like, Chisora, he rolled back the years. His stamina looked a lot better than it had in his last few fights. But I was like, OTTO Wallin I know was a mover. I know this is the guy who gave Tyson Fury all he could handle. This is a guy who, you know,
he's living off that though.
He was living off
that now. That's now done. That credit in the bank for the Fury fight, I think, needs to be just removed.
Oh, it's gone.
Yeah, because he almost gets picked for fights because of that. Let's get OTTO Wallin. Oh, he gave Fury problems.
He gave
a few
Fury
years
problems
ago.
and stuff like that, and that had everyone thinking. When Joshua, we all like Joshua, but when Joshua did that, we were like, oh my god, that's the guy who gave Fury all those problems. Now we kind of look and think, well, DERECK Chisora dropped him twice as well. I mean, Fury or Joshua couldn't even do that. He looked terrible, but DERECK Chisora
he
for
looked
a guy,
scared.
Oh yeah, he looked terrible.
I thought he looked frightened, and that surprised me considering that he has been in there with two monsters, if you like. Fury being 6'7", AJ 6'5", like two physical monsters, and he seemed to be scared of Chisora.
Two physical monsters, but two guys who were happy to just pick him apart at long range. True. He had a guy coming, swinging everything but the kitchen sink. Yeah, everything. He's probably never experienced that before in his life. And
like, not to give him an excuse, but an 18 by 18 rings, cheeky.
Oh, it was tiny.
I mean, that's what welterweight's fighting. I mean, come on, 18 by 18. That's clearly Chisora's team saying this guy's going to try and run, and we need to cut him off and give us the smaller ring. I'm surprised they didn't appeal that and say we're not fighting. Like, I've seen other fighters do that. Even B-side fighters have gone up and we're not. That's 20 by 20 minimum.
Yeah. And I'd say he got in that ring and was like, oh my god, I take 2 steps back, I could feel the other rope. And he probably thought at that point, okay, I've never been anything like this before. I could barely move. This guy's coming at me. And I'd say after the first round, he was like, I'm not winning this. I just want to survive. Yeah. Just don't drop me. Just want to see the end.
That's what it seemed like, you know. It almost seemed like a journeyman that wanted to get to 12 rounds to get another fight in 30 days. That's what it felt like. Because there were times when Chisora was like, come on. Like, you know, Chisora put himself on the ropes. And OTTO was like, he was like, no, I don't really want to go into that wheelhouse. But look, I mean, on the flip side, I guess we've got to give Chisora some credit, right? Again, he's 41. Could be older, could be younger. Who knows nowadays? But he's 41. And he's gas tank for a 41-year-old is incredible.
Man, for a 41-year-old to not even just the gas tank, I'd have Wallin, Joyce in back-to-back fights. And I thought Chisora, man, he's like the cat with 9 lives, but he's got 13 of them. Because every time we write him off, we think, oh, he's finished, he's seen better days, this, that, and the other. He produces a performance like that. 41, the style he fights. Yeah. It's not like he only throws, you know, a handful of punches around, he moves. This guy's coming at you for 12 rounds. We all thought this was a 10-rounder. It's 12-rounder. He was able to hang and go. The last 10 seconds, he dropped out of Wallin. That just says it all. That guy could have went another 3 rounds.
Yeah, he's an old-school 15-round fighter. I think there was a time, it might have been round 6 or 7, when OTTO's on the ropes and he throws like a 25-punch combination. Don't get me wrong, it's not slick, but it's just doom, like he's on a heavy bag. Yeah. And I'm like, that would take so much energy to do, but he seems to be able to do it and continually do it. And it's interesting you mentioned the fact that he's beat Joyce, he's beat OTTO Wallin, and his only losses in recent years have been to Parker, Fury, and Usyk. So it's almost like, where is Chisora? Like, he's losing to who he should lose to, and he's beating who he should beat. Like, there needs to be a 50-50 fight made, so I know exactly where he is.
Oh, well, I mean, he was mentioned a few fights, but I don't know if they're necessarily 50-50 fights, but there is 50-50 fights out there, and it'd be interesting. Can you just think of maybe a Dylan White or someone like that? Yeah. And then we'd really see where DERECK Chisora is. Yeah, because Dylan White would go into that fight, especially if Dylan White beats Joyce, and I think he will. We'll get to that in a minute. But if Dylan White beats Joe, I think that's a 50-50 fight. That is a 50-50 fight.
And that's the one I want. Although Dylan White didn't get a card, Dylan White wasn't on one of the cards, was it? It was Dubois, it was AJ, it was Usyk.
It was Dubois, it was AJ, it was Usyk. AJ of all people. That's a strange one to throw out. They're two very, very close guys.
Money
Alexander
talks.
Usyk
Money
rematch.
puts friendship aside for 12 rounds.
It does, and that's the only fight out of those three that I think is likely. Listen, if Dubois beats Joseph Parker, it's not going to happen. It's going to be him and Usyk.
Yeah, I don't want to see Dubois this age and this stage of his career fight Chisora, because like, as much as I give Chisora credit for the win, he still looks slow for me. Like, I still feel like someone young will just pick him off.
Someone young will pick him off.
Who can punch.
I was going to say, we're dealing with one of the biggest punchers in the division. If he taught Fury, if he taught Parker, Usyk hit hard, no.
Yeah.
Just no.
Yeah. Yeah, I would argue, going through his resume, and I might be wrong, I don't think he's been in there with anyone who hits as hard. Vitali. He was in there with Vitali early.
I would say Dubois hits harder.
Yeah, this is it.
I will put my neck out in line and say, no, Daniel Dubois hits harder.
He really cracks. So no, I don't want to
crazy.
see that. I certainly don't want to see Usyk. Why would I want to see that? No disrespect to Chisora. And I don't want to see AJ. So for me, those three cards should have been Ngannou, Wilder, and White.
That's what we talked about last week.
it.
And we were literally saying it last week. We were like, has to be done on White first, then Ngannou, in terms of what we want to see. They should have been the cards. Maybe I think Chisora just wants to get the public talking about it. I mean, we're talking about it.
He actually put an Instagram post up today. Again, we're filming on Tuesday. He put an Instagram post up with a picture of Usyk saying, "Where are you, Usyk?" Almost a bit like when Usyk was trying to troll Fury.
Yeah.
Now he's playing it, and I was reading a few comments, and no one really wants to see it. But you can't blame him for wanting a world title fight or the biggest money fight. He literally put 2 world champions and the biggest money fight in AJ.
Exactly. And he's got a ranking there with the IBF. So he's in a position where he actually can get a voluntary crack.
Crazy. Honestly, crazy. All right, that's... Yeah, like, not for me. All right, that's Chisora done for now. We could go on and on about Chisora. I do want to quickly mention Nathan Heeney, who was the co-main event. Nathan Heeney fought a Frenchman called, I think his name was Carty.
Yeah.
Carty, who I'm telling you now, I mean, I tweeted about this. I said, I'd love to see the 5 people that had beaten this Carty, because I thought Carty looked really good.
He looked really
I thought
good.
Heeney was maybe past where Heeney was once. You know, it's not the Heeney that beat Denzel Bentley. I think there's a few miles on the clock, the Brad Paul's defeat maybe. But I thought this Carty looked really good.
Well, I thought if the Heeney who fought Denzel Bentley turned up, he would have won.
Yeah.
But I don't think we have that Nathan Heeney anymore. His timing looked off. His punch resistance just seemed like he landed a shot, and then it looked like a little grazing shot, and Heeney, the mouthpiece was out. He was down. He couldn't recover. It's like, man, the punch resistance, the timing, everything. It just looks.
Carty wasn't a big puncher. Like the record books didn't say it was a big puncher. It's very interesting. It's almost a bit like that Sarax that beat Munguia.
Bruno Sarax.
Yeah, he didn't look like he was a big puncher either. His record says he
6
can't
knockouts.
crack. I know, and all of a sudden Munguia's folded.
1 punch.
It's crazy what's going on with French boxing right now.
It just shows that if you have chinks in your armor, if you think, okay, this guy can't do it, it only takes 1 shot. Even by now, not even big punchers. And you are down, you are hurt, and that's it.
That's it. All right, so Queensberry, that was a Queensberry show, Co-op Live. I was at the Co-op Live. Again, we're filming this on Tuesday. I have to keep reminding people. I was there yesterday for the announcement of Queensberry's new schedule on DAZN. So the first one, April 5th, all heavyweight card, it looks like.
Oh, man.
And then you've got Josh Taylor versus Echo Usman, which has just come from nowhere, which I'm very excited about. And then Kakachi versus Lee Wood, which I'm telling you now will be one hell of an atmosphere. Like, Gman, you have to get a ticket to go. I can sort you out.
I will be there.
I can sort you out for this one.
I will be there for that one.
Crazy.
That is a one you cannot miss.
You cannot miss that. The Irish are going to come over, as you know, and Lee Wood's got a crazy
Last time we seen
Nottingham
Lee Wood
Forest
against
fan.
someone from Belfast and Nottingham, we all know what happened.
It was special.
It was special.
It was very, very special. All right, on the first one, April 5th, Dillian Whyte versus Joe Joyce. How are you with this card? Lawrence Okoli, Riakporhe, and David Adelaide versus TKV.
I can't believe how good it is. And this has just been announced. You know, more than likely we will get some prelim shows on there. They won't probably be as good, but still.
Yeah.
What a way to hit the ground running.
Okay.
Like with DAZN, this is your first show. Look, we knew Frank wasn't going to just sign with DAZN. His first show would be a little, a little run. We knew he'd hit the ground running.
You wanted to go bang.
But this, man, both those fights are main event on a respective card.
Interesting.
But in my opinion, they are both of them are
on
a respective card, main event, no questions asked. They're both happening together. And even Jamie TKV versus David Alaye.
Yeah.
Magnificent Seven, straight away, boom. Or, even a York Hall, top of the bill on a Friday night, boom. All on the one card.
Yeah.
Man, I think it's going to be epic.
I do find it weird. Obviously, Queensberry and maybe Matchroom must have some sort of deal with Co-op Live, because those 6 names you just mentioned, they're all Londoners.
That's what I was thinking.
All Londoners.
Like,
I mean, this is an O2 Arena card if I've ever seen one. Maybe the O2 just costs so much money, I'm guessing, compared to Co-op. Or Co-op are so desperate for events there, they're giving people massive discounts because it kind of makes no sense.
The atmosphere is incredible in the Co-op.
Yes,
it has to be said. Like the atmosphere there, whether it's packed out or whether there's 5,000, they
sounds really good.
Going non-stop. Manchester, I think, was it Frank who said it, he reckons it's becoming the new home of British boxing.
Interesting.
Which is crazy when you think about it, because British boxing, London, you know.
Maybe because it's like middle ground. Ground.
Neutral territory.
Yeah, neutral territory. So everyone kind of will venture to there. If you're coming from up north, Manchester's 3 hours away. If you're coming from London, it's 3 hours away. So it almost makes sense. All right, Dillian Whyte versus Joe Joyce. Happy with it? He's smiling. What does that mean? I said loser leaves town.
I'm smiling because I hear you say Dillian Whyte. You're picking Dillian Whyte. I'm the opposite.
Ooh.
And I think it's something. When I heard that, I was like, okay, now I finally got something I can really disagree with you on.
Wow, you're going Joe Joyce.
I'm going Joe Joyce.
You know what? Maybe I'm going Dillian Whyte based off name and Joe Joyce. But then if I do go back and watch Dillian Whyte versus Ebenezer Tete,
there you go.
I can kind of see why you're going to go Joe Joyce.
Listen, Dillian Whyte, we both said it. He looked in good shape.
Yeah.
He really did. It looks like he is proper. He's not even taking a rest from the Ebenezer Tete fight. He is just going straight into it, which is good. Mate, Ebenezer Tete... 36 years old, birth cert, please.
Yeah, he's
and
about
Dillian
50.
Whyte looked so slow. I know Joe Joyce is not the quickest either, but the problem was, I've seen Ebenezer Tete dropped like that by Daniel Dubois. We know he's a big puncher. Dillian Whyte couldn't put a dent in him.
Strange that, isn't it?
Couldn't put a dent in him.
Yeah.
It's Joe Joyce.
Yeah, but it's weird with Joe. I almost feel like he's an egg that's now been cracked and it can't be pieced back together. Like I was watching, I mean, this is Joe Joyce that, almost put Joseph Parker into retirement.
We never seen that.
You know what I mean? Never
White
seen anyone do that to Parker. Carlos Takam hit him with everything and he walked through it. And then Jili Zhang went bang.
Bang.
And he's not been the same Joe Joyce since. I mean, Chisora's not the biggest puncher. Chisora kind of wells away and Chisora put him down.
I know.
I just don't know what's left with Joe. I'm so confused and perplexed at this Joe Joyce thing.
Do you know what's so weird about Joe Joyce? When he fought Daniel Dubois, who was one of the biggest punchers, he was proper long range, jab, safety first, don't take a risk.
True.
He fights one of the, maybe even a bigger puncher in Zhilei Zhang. No, go straight for it. Like, what changed?
Yeah. I think, you know what it is? I think he got carried away with this juggernaut.
Exactly.
Thing. I honestly do believe it's like no one can dent him. Remember there was even talks about, oh my God, Joe Joyce could beat everyone. Put him in against Wilder.
Yeah.
Let's see if Wilder can knock him out. And I think he kind of got used to that. It almost became a head-first defense rather than a bit of movement. Look, as you say, he's not the quickest, but he can move his head. He has got very, very long levers, and he's never used them. So maybe it's a case of him starting to use them now. But I just wonder if it's a bit too late.
I think the damage is done. I think that look, you said it, loser leaves town, and I think we are seeing two fighters. Do you know what it'll tell us? Joe Joyce apparently is still fighting in March.
Crazy.
He's only having now. It's only a run out. I think it's an 8-rounder. That will tell us so much about what he has left.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at Dillian Whyte. You're only as good as your last fight. I know Joe Joyce lost, but to DERECK Chisora, we can look at Ebenezer Tete, Dillian Whyte, and say, you look terrible. Joe Joyce, if he looks terrible come March the 1st, I think it is, then we're really going to have a toss-up.
I mean, they've got to be very careful about this March 1st.
Be so
thing.
careful.
I asked Joe, I was like, why are you doing this? Just because, not even necessarily that he would lose, just because he could look bad, he could get cut, anything could happen. Because we saw it against Cash Ali.
Yeah.
It's awful.
It
looked
10
awful. And
rounds
Cash,
to get
no
rid of that
disrespect
guy.
to Cash. Cash ain't that guy, so I'm a bit surprised. But it's interesting, for this is the first time we've ever disagreed. So you're going Joe Joyce, I'm going
I am
Dillian
going
Whyte.
Joe Joyce heavy.
Fair. Okay.
Heavy.
Fair.
Wait, you
Ooh,
see now.
heavy.
We'll wait. You see. We'll watch Joe Joyce on March the 1st, and I'll come back here and just say, I'm real sorry.
We'll battle a bottle of whiskey as we do. We both
bit
like
of
a
red breast.
Bit of red breast.
Bit of red breast.
There you go. All right, Akoli Riakporhe. I think we both agree that Akoli might just get the job done here. A bit too big.
Oh, I don't think there's any might about it. I think it's. Yeah. I've never seen Richard Riakporhe at heavyweight. He's never talked about going to heavyweight. And Lawrence Akoli, listen, I still am a little bit very kind of, I have my reservations about him at heavyweight. But goddamn, he is massive.
He's massive.
Like how he made cruiser is beyond me.
Yeah, he's massive in every way. Like he's 6'5", 6'6". He's a big boy. And now he just, like being around him, I've been around him now as a heavyweight.
I was going to say, do you not think, like, seeing how he was, that he's almost got a bit more freedom?
Dude,
like
he's got more confidence.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got more confidence. He's more arrogant. He's like, now I'll show you guys.
Yeah, it's like
now
the weight cut is done.
It's done. And I've been around him in Dubai. I went to his restaurant in Dubai and just sat with him. And I was looking at the size of him then. I was like, Jesus Christ. Like, how did you make 14.4? And then obviously he came in really heavy for his last fight. I think this is just a case of him trying to find a weight, almost a bit like Usyk's found a weight at heavyweight. I think Okolie needs to find what his optimal weight is. 230, 240, I think. I think the 250 is silly.
I thought that 260, and it was like he was trying to bounce like a cruiserweight. You're like, mate, this looks so out of proportion.
This ain't going to work. But I think he'll get a lower weight because he's fighting a guy that's smaller.
Yeah.
I think now, when he's fighting the giants, I can kind of understand what he's thinking. I need to be a bit bigger.
Yeah, listen, if you fought Dubois, you'd want to be the bigger guy. You'd want to be the heavier.
Yeah, but Riakporhe is not going to be that much above 16 stone.
No.
If I'm Riakporhe, I try and... Look, Riakporhe doesn't hit as hard as Wilder, obviously.
Nope.
But play that game. Wilder only made that mistake once when he tried to come in big for the Fury second fight. Wilder fights basically like a bridgerweight. Use what you've got. Use that power in your legs and just maybe try and play that rather than play the size thing.
See how your speed is. See if you can catch him coming in.
Yeah.
Listen, Lawrence Okolie, if he comes in a little bit too heavy, he'll be slow. So use your advantage. Your advantage is you're going to be faster. You're going to probably be able to throw more shots. So see what you can do. See if he talked about hugging. Listen, we haven't seen Lawrence Okolie hug since he stopped that weight cut.
True.
So don't bank on just thinking Lawrence Okolie's going to hug you.
That's a very good shout.
He hasn't even looked even remotely like he's even wanted to engage and hug someone.
Yeah, now he wants to smack and done.
He just wants to hit
smack
you.
and done. That's all he wants to do. All right, that's that card. Again, I think more names will be added to it, but so far, so good for Frank. He then surprised everyone with the Josh Taylor Echo Usman one. I mean, we all knew about Kakache Lee Wood. We'll get to that in a second, but Josh Taylor going up to 147. That one was kept underneath the radar because I love it. I love the idea of Echo Usman getting a chance against a name. He's been fighting British European level for so long, and I love the fact that he's going to go to Scotland and try and beat Josh Taylor. This might be the best of them all, you know, in terms of a fight.
I think it will be.
Yeah,
I think it will be. Josh Taylor, I was looking and thinking like, there's no real word of Matchroom. He's not going to go boxer because him and Ben Shalom don't see eye to eye. Like, what's he going to do? Is he in the wilderness? And then, boom, they have this. It's in Glasgow. A fighting city if ever I seen one.
Good luck to
a fighting city if ever I seen one. That is going to be absolutely epic.
Yeah.
And I love watching Josh Taylor. Look, I've thought this move to 147, it's been due since he became undisputed at 140. Yes. Like, really. Like, he has been killing himself to make 140. He's
wasted 2.5 years. Man, of staying at 140. He wasted it.
More than that. He won his undisputed title in 21.
Ramirez, 21. Yeah, it was in COVID.
Right? He should have moved up then and there. Right, I can't make this weight. He fought Jack Catterall, he fought Lopez, and then he fights Catterall. Man, that's madness.
You know, it's crazy actually. Now you said it, you're right. It's silly. Because there was a time, and people might laugh at this now, but guys, remember, there was a time when everyone was like, Josh should go up and fight Crawford.
I remember. I knew you were going to say that. That's the exact thing.
There was that conversation. You looked at the welterweight landscape and it was like, Crawford couldn't get Spence, he couldn't get Furman, couldn't get any of those guys. So, okay, why don't Crawford fight Taylor?
And people used to say Crawford's run to undisputed at 140 was nowhere near as tricky as Taylor's.
Mate, it's crazy. Taylor beat so many unbeatens to get to become undisputed.
Ramirez.
Yeah. So, look, I don't know what's left with Taylor, but he might look at the 147 landscape and think, 1 second. Yes, there's Boots Ennis. But who else?
It's looking weak.
I mean, could I take Barrios? Could I see what's going to happen with Stadionis and Ennis? Like, do you know what I mean? So he might look at that. But Echo Usman's no joke. Echo Usman's going to be on him from round one.
Echo Usman is one of those fighters. He I don't mean this in a bad way, but he looks sort of unremarkable.
Yeah.
But God, he's hard to beat.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's exactly that's exactly him. That's exactly him. He is difficult to beat, but he doesn't look. Like, you watch him, you think, nothing special. Yeah, then you get in the ring with him, and then you realize how much of a problem he is. But I think that's an interesting fight, that one. And then there's May. So it's 3 fight cards that Frank's announced, and then there's May and Kakache Wood.
Oh my God. That I said it's gotta be. It's like, man, it's like Conlon all over again.
It's gonna be. Someone's getting knocked out.
Oh, someone's getting. They can both punch.
There is no way on this earth that goes points.
There's no way they can both punch.
Yeah.
They can both be dropped.
Yes.
They're both going to bring absolute fans who are just going to be, the Nottingham fans are going to be screaming for blood. The Belfast fans it's going to be
what an Indian summer for Kakache. I mean, Joe Cordina, Josh Warrington, and his favourite against Lee Wood. That's fantastic.
I remember I used to feel so bad for him because it seemed like whenever there was a big fight, he might get announced for it and then something would happen to him or his opponent. Yeah. You were thinking, I used to think about Kakache, I'm like, man, you're done. You're never going to do it. Not your fault. It's just bad luck.
Yeah.
And now, Joe Cordina, world champion, Josh Warrington.
Yeah.
And now Kakache.
Yeah, and he's given up his belt as well, and rightly so. He's like, look, at my stage of my career, I think he's 35, Kakache. It's about money. He's not made that much money in his career, and all of a sudden he said that the Lee Wood fight is double what he would have got for his mandatory. So
makes sense.
Makes sense. You've won it. The feeling is to win it, not to kind of defend it 100 times. Not many people think about that.
And you beat him. What happens then?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yes.
There's more to come.
There's more to come. And like, I love Lee, but Kakache is massive. He's a puncher, and Lee's been out the ring far too long. Lee's been out the ring far too long.
That's the Achilles heel for Lee Wood. He fought Josh Taylor in October 23. That's too long, especially for a fighter. Or Josh Warrington.
Yeah.
But that's too long for a fighter who's not getting any younger. Man, I hate...
You know, he was actually offered the Kakache fight that Warrington took.
Oh, yeah?
Lee was offered it, but he was injured. I spoke to Lee, and I was like, why are you not doing that? And he's like, I'm injured. So he was actually offered it. So he's already had Kakache on his mind for a while. So who knows? And once the Nottingham fans get behind you...
Oh, man.
Who knows?
When they are cheering, that atmosphere in Nottingham is second to none.
It's going to be... I'm just excited for it because I was there ringside for Condon Lee Wood, and that was just full of drama, and it was great. All right, anyway, that's now done. Let's talk a bit of Canelo.
Oh, a bit of Canelo.
A bit of Canelo.
Do you know what? We did this episode last Thursday, and we were like, what's going on? Is it happening? Is it not? And then overnight, we're both like, God, that escalated quick.
Yeah, overnight, I felt like the episode was redundant. I was like,
yeah, literally, that's the same.
I might as well throw the episode away. Honestly, it felt like that because, remember I asked you, true or false, does Canelo versus Jake Paul happen next? And you said true.
I said true.
Don't blame me. I think the world was like that. And all of a sudden now, Turkey's sort of thrown his power into this. And where Canelo was this close to fighting Jake Paul, it's no longer happening, at least not for 2 or 3 years. And Canelo has now signed a 4-fight deal with Riyadh season. First fight in May in Riyadh, William Skull.
I also said I thought that this was Canelo's last calendar year in boxing.
Obviously not.
Because it seemed like, you know, Jake Paul, Terence Crawford, checking out. Yeah. Nope, we have him until at least the end of 26.
Yeah.
That's insanity.
Yeah. It is insane. We don't normally get that with boxers where they kind of write out the schedule. Yeah. The most we get is the next 2 fights. We've had it with Floyd and Canelo where it's May, September. You kind of boxing only guarantees you that. What he's done with Turkey is now it's almost guaranteed us 4 fights. So it's Skull, it's Crawford, it's Bivol or Hamza Shiraz or Eubank, and then it's question mark. Weird that, like Hamza Shiraz, Eubank or Bivol. It's kind of strange.
Well, Canelo be 36 come the end of this deal. 36. So this has to see him out. William Skull.
Can you imagine the money, by the way?
Oh, man.
Can you imagine what Netflix were offering?
That's what I mean.
And he's decided, no, we're not doing that. We're doing this.
For him to walk away from that fight with Jake Paul, which would have done, whether we like it or not, it would have done mega numbers with Netflix.
Would have
broken it. So for him to walk away from that to do this, it's crazy. And you know it's serious because he's fighting in Riyadh. Canelo is America or Mexico. He's in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Not only that, he's doing this on Cinco de Mayo.
I know.
Cinco de Mayo weekend, which is Vegas through and through. That's what I'm saying. The bag must be so much that he's like, we're fighting in Saudi Arabia.
And next year he won't be on any of the Mexican holidays.
No.
February and October. It's complete opposite.
I can't imagine the phone call. I can't imagine a phone conversation that removes Canelo from Vegas to Riyadh.
It's insane.
But there's one thing, him fighting on a ring card in Vegas. I kind of expected that.
Yeah, that's what we all thought.
But he's fighting in Saudi? You know what will be interesting? Will the Mexicans travel?
There is the big question.
This will be interesting because so far, really, only Fury and AJ fans have travelled, really.
And it's not a big trip, from the UK to Saudi.
But from fucking the West Coast and all the East Coast, you've got fans everywhere. To Saudi.
To Saudi. In particular, to kind of say like the West Coast, Mexico, places like that, to Saudi. That is not an easy trip.
Yeah, that's going to be slightly different.
It will really show how big a star Canelo is, because I genuinely think he will do great numbers over there in Riyadh. I really do think he will.
You think they will travel there?
Oh, I think with Canelo, his fans will follow him to the end of the earth, I think.
You know what I'm intrigued about? Like
I think
the undercard.
Oh, that's what I was thinking.
I'm so intrigued about who's on this May undercard.
We love Canelo, but his undercards are always
trash.
Crap.
They're crap.
Then we never get any deep. You're always kind of looking to be like, right, I'll just watch the main event. Riyadh don't do that. Turkey doesn't believe in that. He doesn't do that.
I think they're going to go. I think Matchroom are going to go big on this with the undercard. I'm expecting it to be a real big Matchroom. All the Matchroom American stars, Pacheco.
Oh, Diego Pacheco will be there.
Raymond Ford. I'm expecting those guys to be on this. I expect this to be a real, because I heard that they're putting this one on at something like basically the time that suits West Coast. So this is going to be so American centered.
So even though it's going to be on in Riyadh, it's still going to be like proper
10 in the morning
American.
or something. It's going to be, so it's going to be prime time America. So I don't think there's going to be many Europeans on this card. I think this is going to be a full American card.
Has me wondering then. I'm wondering if Boots Ennis is regretting anything now, because he's probably thinking, crap, could get over there.
Could have been over there.
It's going to be, it's going to be epic. But that leads to the Crawford fight.
Yeah.
Which me and you, we were both like, oh my God, is this fight, is it done?
Yeah.
Is it gone? Still the biggest fight for me. That could be made
Still the
right
biggest
now.
fight. Yeah,
Still the biggest fight
now
right
it's still,
and they're doing it in America.
Yeah,
they are not bringing. They know where they're bringing that.
That sticks to that date that we knew, September 13th, at Raiders Stadium. Yeah, and now, no disrespect to William Skull, he will lose. Sorry, William.
Yes, he
true.
will.
This will be for undisputed.
This
will be for Crawford has a chance to go down into the record books of record books. Three-time, never been done before. Never been done before.
And
if
in the
you're
four-belt
Crawford, you are now as motivated as you've ever been.
Man, 3-time undisputed in the 3-belt era in 3 different weights, separated by a big chunk. It's not like you've gone from, like flyweight to
it's not 120 to 120. You've done jumps.
You've done jumps, 28 pounds.
And you look at the people you're fighting. I mean, 140, okay, I can understand how people might say no, but 147 was Spence. Do you know what I mean? 147 was Spence. 168 is Canelo.
The guys in the
weight class.
Each guy was pound for pound when you fought them. Each guy was in the pound for pound top 10.
Yeah. You see, we'll end on this one. You see that he posted that he was 186 pounds.
I seen that. I was surprised about that.
Was you surprised?
I was thinking Crawford kind of out of camp would be maybe 175.
See, maybe I've got this wrong then, but he obviously fought Madrimov at 154. I said, and this is my calculation, I said he would have got into the ring at 170 against Madrimov. Oh, yeah. So he's only put on 16 pounds since August. When you really work out 16 pounds for someone that's out of fighting camp, just eating and living, I don't think that's that crazy. No. I think that's what these guys walk around at and then trim down. I'm not so surprised that Crawford's 186.
I have to say, when I seen it, I was thinking, no, because in my head I'm looking at Crawford, I'm like, this is the guy who fought at lightweight. Okay,
in that sense, yeah.
He's
moved up so well. He's moved up so well. Like over the years, like the gaps have been perfect. 135 to 140. Okay, we're not making 147. Okay, that's why his body at 38 has been able to kind of last this. Where some people stay within a weight class and
their body is
done.
Gone. They're muck.
They can't do it anymore.
Their body
he's
up.
jumping, and I think it's perfect.
He does it at the right time, and this Canelo Crawford, this is the right time.
It's going to happen.
Honestly,
it's going to happen. There's only one person left now that is on the outside looking in, and that's Gervonta Davis. He's the only person. If I'm Gervonta, I mean, I really look around and see what PBC doing and thinking, okay, maybe the money's running out here. This seems to be the way to go. Almost inevitable that I think we see Gervonta Shakur.
Oh, we have to.
Card.
What's Gervonta Davis going to do? Like, he is literally out in the wilderness. He's out in the wilderness, and if he wants these big fights, Turkey's the only man you want to talk to.
Yeah. I did say it's the last one. One more thing, and it kind of relates to all PBC, Canelo. I saw the numbers for Benavidez Morale. I don't know if you've seen it.
It was over 200K, wasn't it?
No, well, it's interesting. Who do you believe? I heard 75,000. Now, I don't know if this is true because who knows, right? But I did say the other day, like, PBC won't release it if the numbers are small.
No, they never do.
So it's insiders that have released this information. If that is the case, I'm not going to say Benavidez isn't a star still. It's hard, isn't it? 75,000. It's difficult. It's difficult,
but
is this the way it is nowadays? Is this, can only a few people do the 6 figures?
I think so. I think we've got to a stage now where there's only a select few people are willing to pay for now. Yeah. Canelo was in that. Maybe Fury and Usyk when they're fighting. Gervonta Davis.
Even he needs a dance partner. Gervonta's numbers against Martin weren't good at all.
Ryan Garcia, whether you love him or hate him, he can do it. He brings
Ryan
everyone.
Versus Devin is over 1 million. I'm convinced of it.
Has to be. And Devin, when he fought Prograis.
Yeah. There's not that many. Honestly, it's weird. DAZN first launched with the slogan like "No more pay-per-view." I almost feel like eventually they ran before they could walk, but I think eventually we're going to get to that.
That's what I was going to say. I think we're going to get to that. I think we are literally getting to the stage now where it's like, you know what? Pay-per-view, that model,
just doesn't work.
It's gone.
Doesn't work.
We came too soon with it. Maybe about 8-9 years too soon.
Yeah.
But now we're getting to the stage where it's like pay-per-view is just gone.
Too many people illegally stream. I don't know if it's even a case of people not paying or wanting to pay for it, but too many now just find a link.
Oh yeah,
just find a link, watch it, and it might buffer a little bit, but they're happy with that because it's not $100.
They're not paying $100. What is it? This card, $19.99, February 22nd, and I think that's even in America. And I think it's what, like $80 or something like that for Tank. Why? You cannot.
Yeah.
How do you work that?
Those maths are not mathing, as the kids would say.
Who has the better card? Who has the better everything? One that's cheaper than this one, which I'm not really fussed about. Like it makes no sense.
It makes no sense, and that's why boxing's in the space it is in America, at least. Gman, appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. That is episode 3 in the books, guys. I need a favor. I need you to like, share, and leave a comment. A lot of you are doing it, but please, if you're not doing it, do it because it really helps the video. And obviously, this man's channel is in the description. Make sure you subscribe to that because he puts out, I'm not joking, sometimes 10 videos a week.
Sometimes 10, most times 10.
Where's his life? What's he doing? It's ridiculous. 10 videos. I used to do exactly the same thing. Anyway, we'll see you in the next episode.